Ladies and gentlemen, let me start with the land acknowledgement. The Manitoba Softball Hall of Fame and Museum would like to acknowledge that we live, work, and play on traditional Indigenous territory and treaty lands. Treaties 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 across Manitoba. We wish to express our gratitude to Mother Earth and for the resources we are using, including the land, water, and air, and honor and recognize all First Nation, Métis, and Inuit people who have been living on these lands. We welcome all patrons and all nations to Softball Manitoba. As we begin tonight, we'll bring up the president to have his first say to the throng of attendees. This is Mr. Murray Blight.
Thank you, Ray, and I don't know about you folks, but this is fantastic to see people here tonight. I mean, I don't know about you, but I've been living in Onaho, Manitoba for so long. I haven't seen so many people, so many faces in for years, but man, oh man, it's heart pumping. You know, so thank you for attending this function this evening. I could talk for hours, but I won't. I promise. I assure you that. Ray's always got a prod right up here. But on behalf of the Manitoba Softball Hall of Fame Board of Directors, welcome to the 19th. And it's not the annual. It's the 19th ceremony. And, of course, as we all know, COVID took a couple years away from us. And you know what? The sad, too, about it is that it's taken a couple years of inductions of our colleagues out there that their names are waiting for the selection committee to look at. The teams are waiting. So let's hope that this will go by and we can continue with an annual event which will be announced in the near future after we have a debriefing. But anyway, where does time go? Like I said, it seems like it's never happened, this event. This evening is an opportunity, as I've said before, standing up here, an opportunity to interact and reminisce softball memories. You know, and I look out there, and I was blessed to be able to participate with some great ball players and some great teams, and and I was talking to Harry Buchert there earlier, and Artie Penner, and back in 1976 with the Pizza Place team. How about joining the Western Major Fastball League? So guess what happened? 77 and 78, and we participated. So, just being able to play and participate and coordinate the event, it just brings back. But saying that, back to local, to the Softball Hall of Fame, I don't know if you have a chance to look at the programs, but to date, we've had 187 individuals inducted and 52 teams into the Hall of Fame. So over the number of years, and there should be more, and we hope that there will be additional people into the Hall. I'd like to introduce you and take the opportunity to introduce you to the Manitoba Softball Hall of Fame Executive Board members and committee who have given, volunteered many hours of their time. I've never had so many Zoom meetings and whatever of different organizations that I'm participating. But if I could introduce them and ask them to stand, as I say, and unfortunately, past President Al Sharp. I understand Al just got out of the hospital, so fast improvement. Vice President Adrian Brown, where are you, Adrian? Secretary, multiple task, back from Alberta. Les Elchuk is our secretary. Les Newman looks after the treasury responsibilities, keeps the purse strings in order. Les. Directors, our good friend in the back, Gord Woolley, Minto, Manitoba. Garth German isn't here tonight. Don Moxham, where is Don? Don, good Portage La Prairie, taking on the task of getting the museum revitalized, along with Les and his technology, and Jack, and everybody's got different responsibilities. Bob Conabare, where are you sitting? There's Bob. If he doesn't call you tonight, he may call you or see you or whatever, because he's the man that's seeking out all the different teams and leagues over and that played in the province of Manitoba. And last but not least, board member, just came on board, Jack Colson. Jack. Back several years ago, there was a couple that were on the board, reasons of their own, but, you know, being a bit influential and I guess hard-nosed, I didn't want to see them leave and ask them. I'd like to introduce Lori, Wayne Miller. They looked after, as they say, the grace part of it, the power display, all those prizes back there, putting it together. So thanks again. Another volunteer that just resigned from the board with health reasons, but is here tonight, Al McPherson. Where are you, Al? There we go. Without, as well, various thank yous, selection committee for their commitment in your program. You see who participated. The programs that are at your table, the auction prizes from our sponsors. Kind of interesting because I think I had 99% of the advertising sold in 2019. Well, here it is, 22, and now you're going back to the sponsors. Some don't know who you are. The places, the names have changed. Actually, we picked up several new ads through it from people that had previously said no. Westman Communications tonight. Gentlemen, would you stand? They're going to be taping the ceremony. You'll have an opportunity to purchase a DVD or a link to of the ceremony that's taking place. Victorian administration staff for their hospitality this evening. I think some have been here, but again, thank you. If you, in your program, you'll see different things, but I'd like to just bring it to your attention, the virtual museum, the website sponsors, history of leagues and teams. And last but not least, the Manitoba Softball Hall of Fame is having their annual meeting September 15th. That's a Thursday at 7 p.m. at the Victorian in Winnipeg. So if you feel you want to participate, have time on a committee, we certainly encourage your participation. Last but not least, let's enjoy the evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Murray. On page 6 of the program, you'll find a complete list of all the previous Manitoba Softball Hall of Fame individual and team inductees. At this time, we would like to ask all of those that have been previously inducted into the hall that are in attendance tonight, please stand and we'll recognize you. I'm surprised Murray didn't give me a list of names for that, too. Since our last induction dinner, we're very sorry to announce that several members of the softball community have left us. I would now ask you to observe a moment of silence in their memory. Thank you. The board would like to take this opportunity to extend their gratitude and appreciation to the sponsors that have contributed to this banquet's success tonight. Please be sure to check out their advertisements found throughout the program, and thank you to all that have supported the Hall of Fame through the purchase of a lifetime or annual membership as well. Your support through other donations is very appreciated. A big thank you is also extended to all of those who have assisted the board tonight in hosting this induction banquet and ceremony. Your continued support enables the Hall of Fame and Museum Board to hold the induction ceremonies and operate our museum in Portage La Prairie. Thank you again. The Manitoba Softball Hall of Fame Museum is always looking for pictures of memorabilia of anything related to softball. Equipment, uniforms, jackets, crests, hats, balls, scrapbooks, newspaper, clippings, photographs, And new displays will be created from those donations. At this time, we ask that you do not donate physical items of memorabilia to the hall at this time. Please contact any of the listed Hall of Fame directors for more information on that. Note at the back of the room, Corey Assen from Heavy Metal Design has a display of Hall of Fame rings for sale. Corey, stand up and be recognized, would you? There. Go and see, she does tremendous work. Go and take a look at some of those rings. Inductees, be sure to take a look at this display. Anyone who is interested can speak with Corey as well. She does great work again. Thank you for doing that, Corey. Les Newman, the treasurer, will be happy to provide a tax receipt to anybody making a financial contribution to the Manitoba Softball Hall of Fame Museum. Les was introduced earlier. He is seated right over there at table 9. Wave to the folks, Les. And lifetime members are also listed on page 4 of the program. I feel like I'm a conductor today. Page 9, page 4, page 6, table 9. Page 5 of the program, they outline the information regarding the nomination process. Nominations are reviewed by an independent selection committee, which makes the final decision on the individuals and teams that will be selected and inducted each year. Once again, the members of the committee have done an excellent job. Thank you to the selection committee members, Arnold Asham, Cliff Bishop, Don Campbell, Wayne DeRocher, Fred Ham, Jim Ney, and Smitty Radomski. How about a round of applause for them too? If you're interested in nominating an individual, team, or other, please pick up a nomination form found at the back of the banquet hall or download a copy from Softball Manitoba's website. The nomination deadline each year is September 1st. On page 1 of the program, the information on the operations of Manitoba Softball Hall of Fame Board is found. The annual general meeting scheduled for September 15th, as Murray outlined. Anybody interested in softball or in the programs is more than welcome to attend. Some of you may have already checked out and put your tickets in the bags for the items. If you've purchased tickets, please do so into those bags before we're all done tonight when we start making those draws. Be sure to have all of those tickets in if you haven't done so. You can take a look at the auction prizes at the intermission. They're at the back of the hall. Tickets will continue to be sold prior to the intermission, at which time the auction will close. Tickets are $10 for a sheet of 25. Or $20 for 3 sheets. The 20th annual induction ceremony banquet location will be announced, as Murray said, a little bit later on when the board gets together. We hope to see you all again at this event next year. This evening we are going to formally induct 6 individuals and 2 teams in the Manitoba Softball Hall of Fame and Museum. The induction ceremony will be carried out in 2 parts. During the first half, we will induct 6 individuals and 1 team to the Manitoba Softball Hall of Fame. And after a short intermission, we will induct the remaining team. You can read at length about the accomplishments of the individuals in the program. During our ceremony, we will attempt to focus some of the highlights or provide some anecdotes that may not have been included in the program or on the museum plaque. Our committee will take the time to assemble the first group of individual inductees, and we'll also find that first team that will be inducted and get their awards. We will call for the first group of inductees to gather at the front and assemble at the stage right, as they call it, and that will include Rick Degagne, Rick Denney, Jim Lehman, Gary Magwood, and the Sports Traders team rep. Many of you may not have seen the awards that are being presented to the inductees. The president would like your attention. The individuals and teams receive a large stained glass award in the shape of the province of Manitoba, while each team member receives a smaller stained glass award in the shape of home plate. These unique awards were created this year for the Hall of Fame by Riverside Stained Glass, Denise Duncan of the Pas, Manitoba. Inductees also receive a certificate to commemorate their induction into the Hall of Fame. In addition, permanent prints with photos and text about the individuals have been produced. Laminated copies of the prints can be ordered. Order forms are available at the memorabilia table from the Hall of Fame board. Laminated copies are $38 when they're available. They can be picked up in Winnipeg or mailed. If mailing, $55. Murray Blight and board members of the Hall of Fame will be assisting with the awards presentation. We will now proceed. How about that? First, the criteria. Any nomination for a long-term accomplishment must cover a minimum of 2 years and the maximum being 6 years. Our inductees will remain on the stage until the presentations are complete. Group 1. Due to health issues, inductees John Kalinowski and in the athlete category and Charlie Kurtz in the official category are not able to attend this evening, but however, I have their bios and I will read them to you. First, John, as an athlete, John was born in Winnipeg, Manitoba, October 12th, 1931. He began his softball career, however, in Ontario, where he played with several teams before returning to Winnipeg in 1965 to play for the Dow Kings in the Winnipeg Senior Fast-Pitch Softball League. In John's first game in Manitoba, he was the winning pitcher for the Dow Kings in a 3-2 win over the powerful Molson Canadians and added a hit for his own cause at the plate. His team, the Dow Kings, finished in 4th place that season and lost to Keywell White Seals in the semifinal. John was awarded the Francis Anderton Trophy for the league MVP in that first season. In 1967, John was an integral part of the Molson's Fastball Club that went to the Canadian National Senior Men's Championships in Saskatoon. John pitched 2 wins over Quebec to help him earn the national championship and earn the gold medal. In 1968, John was part of the Molson team that competed in the International Softball Celebration, the World Championships, representing Canada at Oklahoma City. John's pitching helped the team finish as runners-up at that event and was awarded the silver medal. 1-year stint as a coach with the Black Knights, John returned to playing in 1970, and he was selected as an all-star in the Manitoba Major Men's Fastball League. In 1991, John was inducted into the Manitoba Sports Hall of Fame with the Molson Canadians Fastball Club. And in 2002, John and his team were also inducted into the Manitoba Softball Hall of Fame. John Kalinowski is an athlete in the Manitoba Softball Hall of Fame for 2020 in the athlete category. Charlie Kurtz grew up in the community of Elmwood in the city of Winnipeg. At an early age, Charlie realized that being involved in sport was what he wanted to do. He played baseball, softball, basketball, was drafted by the Detroit Red Wings of the National Hockey League when he was just 16 years of age. Charlie decided to forego the temptation of trying to make it into the NHL and decided to go to university instead. He continued to play hockey at the junior level and competed for his university degree. He played fast pitch softball as a young man, but soon turned to officiating the sport of softball and basketball. Officiating would be his passion over the next 40 years. Charlie umpired all levels of softball throughout the province, and over the years he received the recognition necessary to be selected to the official umpires of the Canadian National Championships and the World Fast Pitch Tournament as well. For several years, Charlie was a member of the Manitoba Umpires Development Committee, which oversees the operation of all details of softball umpires, programs, umpiring selection, and assignments. He was regularly requested for rules interpretation. He was also involved in many areas of the province, sharing his expertise in umpiring. Over the years, he worked as a tournament administrator for many provincial tournaments that were used to declare our provincial representatives and to appear at national competitions. Charlie Kurtz officiated games at the highest level, the nationals, the worlds. He was a part of local softball as well, and for being an excellent official. Charlie Kurtz is an inductee into the Manitoba Softball Hall of Fame for 2020 in the official category. Everybody that's being inducted individually can come up now. All right, I have the instructions. Rick Degagne, you are first up. Rick was a threat as a hitter on the offensive side of the game, and when he was on the mound as a pitcher, he was stingy, allowing few hits and fewer runs in all the games that he had pitched for. His playing time was primarily as a pitcher for the successful Minto Mustangs Fastball Club, but Rick also played with a number of other teams, including in the Kenora Keewatin Fastball League from 1975 to 1982, where he was selected a league all-star in 1978 and 79 and a playoff MVP in 1980. Rick moved to Manitoba and made his debut in the Brandon Centennial Fastball League in 1982 and in the Southwest Fastball League in 1985. Rick received several all-star awards in the different leagues, and he attended 6 Western Canadian Championships where he represented Manitoba at the intermediate A level. In 1987, Rick was honored to be recognized as the player of the game of the Western Intermediate A Championships after pitching his team to a win over the Northwest Territories 4-1 and going 3 for 3 at the plate. In 1988, his team, the Minto Mustangs, won the Intermediate A Western Canadian Gold Medal, and in 1992, he was part of the team that achieved a bronze medal finish at the Intermediate A Championships. Rick Degagne is an inductee in the Manitoba Softball Hall of Fame for 2020 in the athlete category.
The stage is yours.
Stage is mine, says Murray. Okay. Glasses, those there. Hello, everyone, and thanks for coming to this induction banquet and ceremony this evening. It's been a long time coming, right? I'd like to begin by thanking Murray Blight and the organizing and selection committees for their hard work behind the scenes over the past 2+ years that is paying off today with this celebration. I'd also like to congratulate my fellow inductees, the 5 individuals and 2 teams for their achievements in the sport of softball. As I look at the list of inductees and players on the Sports Traders and Colonels teams, I am truly humbled and honored with this Hall of Fame induction. And on a personal note, not supposed to go off script here a little bit, but I will. Gary Magwood, Red, was always a tough person to play against. Tough teams in Saunders versus Minto, always battles. It was always better having him on our team than playing against him. And Charlie Kurtz, I didn't realize Charlie had such a storied background in umpiring. Charlie is one of our basketball officials, and I'm a part of that Manitoba community as well, so he's quite a fine gentleman. Congratulations to him. When you begin to prepare for an event like this, you can't help but do a fair bit of reflection on life, sport, and of course, softball. Like many people here today, my memories of softball started at a very young age. My 4 younger siblings and I would play in the yard, 3 versus 2 for what seemed like going on for hours. My first true teammates. My sister is here today. Thanks, Ange, for coming. my mom, and my brother Pierre. Recess and lunch duty or lunchtime at school were opportunities to play scrub or 500 with friends. A lot of sandlot ball is what it was. I just loved playing the sport. But it wasn't until junior high that I had a chance to actually play on a team. So I'm 13 years old. The phys ed teacher needed a couple of kids to pitch, so I volunteered. I signed up for a lot of things that I didn't know what I was actually signing up for. So I signed out a ball to practice outside against the gym wall, stepped off about 10 paces and started to pitch. This can't be that tough, right? Well, I was wrong. There's this thing called release point that I discovered all by myself, but I didn't know what it was called at the time. You'd think that a gym wall from 20 feet would be an easy target to hit. Not true. Somehow I managed to launch the ball onto the roof of the gym on more than one occasion. I wasn't that good. The janitor, seeing me go outside to practice, would instinctively go grab the ladder. With more practice, I could actually pitch to a person with a glove. As the pitchers in the crowd here know, you need to have that volunteer to catch for you. Usually a parent, a sibling, a friend. And of course, isn't that the real reason we have younger brothers? Bev, I know you have 3 brothers, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. Pierre, thanks again for being here. He did a lot of my catching in those formative years. All the low pitches in the dirt that would bounce and hit him in the shin and the chest and all over, well, Pierre, those were my fault. But the higher pitches that you couldn't catch and sometimes broke a garage window, those were all your fault. And of course, that's at least what I told our dad anyway. So in those days, we figured out I had 3 pitches: a strike, a ball, and NC, and which stands for no clue. So I know the Minto guys are chuckling right now. I'd like to recognize and thank my teammates who are also the catchers on the teams I played with: my brother Pierre, Ken Wilcox, Kenora, Ron Popplestone from Red Fox, and my Minto catchers, Bill Campbell, Dean Fuller, and Kevin Bartley. You guys were all great. Thanks. Fast forward to the Minto days with my first teaching job in Boisevine and Minto being only 15 minutes away. I thought if they needed some extra players, maybe they would take me on. Thanks to Bev, Bill, Smokey, and the rest of the team for giving me a chance to be a part of the Mustangs. By then I had developed some real pitches, right? Rise, drop, curve. But NC was still a part of my repertoire. Story time. Most of the 82 team here will remember my pitching debut in a home game versus the City Center Cougars. Outstanding ball club. Darryl Beamish was in the game. Hey, Darryl. And if he doesn't recollect some of the details, that's understandable, and you'll all know why shortly. So I'm wanting desperately to pitch well and make a positive impression with my new teammates. But sometimes, when you try too hard, you tighten up and some things just don't go well. Release point being one of them. I didn't really know the City Center team. They didn't know me. But I knew the only thing I did know was that they were a very good team full of all-stars, and they had the top 3 hitters in the league, with Darryl batting leadoff. Well, first pitch, NC, right to the screen. Second pitch, NC. Drilled Darryl right here on the side of the head. And thank God for helmets, right? Next batter, you guys were all gasping. Where's Darryl? He's still breathing, folks. He's still breathing. Next batter, 2 balls and 2 NCs right to the screen. Not looking good. Third batter was Rick Halady, who was an outstanding hitter as well. First pitch, NC, right in the ribs. 7 pitch, again, you're gasping. It wasn't that pretty for sure. 7 pitches, 3 balls, 4 NCs, 0 strikes, bases loaded, and nobody out. How do you like me so far, Minto? Not sure how, but we got out of the inning with no runs allowed. Second inning was 3 up, 3 down, so we're looking better. Third inning, Darryl's batting up again. First pitch, NC, and I hit him right in the middle of the bat. By then, the Cougars were looking for some raw meat, and they're all glaring right at me. Fortunately, things settled down, and we had no more issues that game. Daryl, I hope there's no lingering effects from that game. That was 40 years ago this month when I made that inauspicious debut. My consistency and control, however, did improve over the years, but the audience was still there just to keep the hitters uncomfortable in the batter's box. Not by design. Another Minto memory that really sticks out with me is nicknames. I've used a couple already. Pretty much everyone had a nickname. Smokey, Tex, Turk, Rookie, Speedo, Cease, etc. These guys are my new teammates, and I'm trying to get to know them and learn their real names first. I remember a game early on where Bev or Bill was giving the lineup for the outfielders. Rookie on left, Spud in center, Fuzzy in right field. I looked at Corny Heber and I said, "Corny, you're not starting this game?" He replied, "Yes, I am. I'm Fuzzy." And I said, "Whoa, that's a lot of information. I just met this guy." But here we go. Guys are having more than one nickname, so this is going to be tougher than I thought. And then, of course, there's variations on the nicknames. Dean was Ding, and Dinger, and Ding Boy. And yeah, by the way, I had a nickname, thanks to Cease. I'm not sure if the team knows, but I hated it at first, but over time I became quite attached to it. If you want to find out what it is, just check with my teammates later. I share this view with you all because, in my view, it demonstrates part of the unique identity and culture within the team. The core group were friends and brother combinations from grade school right through their playing days and right to the present time. They were a close-knit group whose outstanding playing skills were closely matched by their camaraderie, displayed both on and off the field. It was like having an invisible 10th man on the field that helped the team through some tough times, winning 7 provincial championships and 10 tournament finals in about a 13-year period. We had some star players for sure, but there was always a feeling with our team that someone in the lineup was going to pick the group up if a teammate faltered, get a key hit, make a great catch, steal a base, strike out a hitter. These are definitely signs of a championship team, which we were. For those of you who may not know, Minto is a small town of about 100 people. Gordy, is that about right? Yep. About 100 people. On a good day. On a good day. 30 minutes straight south of Brandon, a farming community. But that didn't stop the team from traveling all over the province, out west, into the States to play the best competition we could find. And we had a committed group of followers, family and friends in the bleachers supporting us as we barnstormed across the province, helping us create so many great memories. As Bill Campbell stated in a 1988 story written by Boys of A resident Randy Turner for the Winnipeg Free Press, Bill said, "We weren't scared to get beat. We would play anybody, anytime, at any tournament." And I could easily relate with this attitude and embrace the culture within the team and consider myself extremely fortunate to have been a member of the Minto family. Final thought. After winning the 1988 Westerns in Richmond, BC, Billy, I don't know if you remember this conversation, but you and I were having a refreshment or two and philosophizing about the team while relishing in our latest achievement. And Bill mentioned to me how he never wanted or needed to be the star player on any team. He said that he viewed a team to be like a wheel, and all he ever wanted was to be a single spoke on that wheel. You know, it's a metaphor that once again highlights the humility and the unselfish persona of Bill and the rest of my awesome teammates. Every spoke contributes to the strength and ultimate success of the wheel's performance. It's a philosophy that I've endorsed ever since. I don't know if you know this, Bill, but since our conversation as a coach of dozens and dozens of sports teams, I have shared this with so many young athletes, including Matthew and Danielle, my son and daughter, this viewpoint and your analogy of what a team truly should be. An image of a spoked wheel that people can take away from sport and apply to other aspects of life. How awesome is that? I'm sure it has made a difference in their lives, and I know it has in mine, and for this I am truly grateful. Thank you very much.
Well, that was great. I wonder if he wants to finish off the night. Rick Denney. No, that's, we jumped ahead. Rick Degagne. Rick Denney. Okay. We're back on track, folks. Rick Denney was born in Boissevain, Manitoba, and raised in the small town of, what is that?
Alsace.
Alsace. It must be small.
Alberta, Saskatchewan.
Alsace, Saskatchewan. It was in Alsace that, as a young boy, Rick found his love for sports, especially baseball and hockey. In 1970, his junior hockey career brought him to Winnipeg, where he began to play fast-pitch softball in the summertime. Rick was known for a slick fielding. He was known as a slick fielding infielder with a hitter of exceptional speed. He was always a threat to get on base and a threat to then steal a base or two. In the early part of Rick's career, I hear the laughter from behind you guys.
That's Jimmy. We played together.
All right. We're telling a story. He often batted leadoff and played shortstop for Dawson Trail Esso, St. Vital Flocking Ducklings, great name. Terry Balkan, You Betches, that was a car dealer in Winnipeg, I believe. Play All Sports Trophies and the Selkirk Steel Kings. Over the years, Rick was awarded several league and team awards in 73 and 74. He was named to the individual the Industrial B All-Star team. In 1975, he was selected as an All-Star in the Senior Men's Industrial League. In 1986, Rick was selected the Winnipeg Fastball League All-Star and was awarded a Golden Glove by his team, the Winnipeg Internationals. In 1975, Rick attended his first of 10 Senior A National Championships representing Manitoba as part of the St. Vital team, and he would be part of 9 other Manitoba representatives at the Canadian National Championships between 1976 and 2002. Rick competed in 4 international softball categories, the ISC World Championships in 1984 at Allentown, Pennsylvania. He batted over 400 for the tournament with the Winnipeg Internationals. Later in his career, Rick added Master Men's Provincials to his list. He was a member of 9 provincial teams that represented Manitoba at the Western Canadian Championships, winning bronze in 1993 and 1998. Rick M. Denney is an inductee in the Manitoba Softball Hall of Fame 2020 in the athlete category.
Get over here. Congratulations. Get a good picture, Les. Sure. I'm going to get some abuse because of this crutch I have here, but I want to tell you that I've gone from 2 to 1 just for tonight. Okay, so I'm going to be a little quicker here because they told me that over the years they've heard me speak
a little too long, and they said, Rick, you only have about 4 or 5 minutes. So I'll try and be quick. I do want to thank the committee, everybody else involved for inducting me tonight. I have to say I'm quite honored by it and very pleased for all this. I was very, very lucky to play with a lot of very good teams. And if anybody that's played a high caliber of fastball, you have to realize that if you play with really good teams and good players, it makes you better, but it also gets you recognized. And I have to say that might be the case with me. So I was fortunate to play in the 80s and 90s when fastball was absolutely at its best. We got to travel all the way through North America and play against some wonderful teams and bat against the best pitchers in the world. And it made you better, but it also made you realize that if you work really hard and want to achieve something, you actually can do it. So taking those 100 ground balls a day and being in the batting cage for 50 or 60 pitchers, it does pay off. So we were lucky back then, and I played with some guys that are in the hall as well, and I do appreciate that, and some wonderful teams. By going to a lot of national championships and representing Manitoba, I got to see parts of Canada that I probably never would have gone to, and it made me appreciate how hard people work to get there. And I stayed playing at the senior A level just to go to the national championships. And I was fortunate enough to be, I'm not sure how many it was, but 9 or 10 or whatever it was. It was wonderful. I can never repeat that. And I feel wonderful doing it. And I was lucky also, like when I hit 40, I think Whitey might have been one of the guys, said, okay, now you're old. Would you like to come and play with the Masters? And I stopped playing senior A when I was 39 because I had broke my ankle. And they asked me to come and play with the Masters and represent Manitoba. And I think we went to 8 or 9, Whitey? Yep. Something like that, at least 9 or maybe 10. Anyhow, played with guys that we had played senior A with. We were fortunate enough to play in the Western Canada League, and the teams were phenomenal back then. And it seemed that when we flowed into over 40, it was the same guys we played when we were 30 and 35. So the ball was absolutely outstanding, and we had so much fun. You realize that if you're lucky enough to play the level that I played, that you have such camaraderie with the people that you play with, and you get to laugh, you get to joke, you get to tell stories, and we all know that the older we get, the better we were, okay? And we had all of that back then, and there's some guys in the audience like Gus, you're there, and he was one of the best ball players I ever played with, and he's going in with the Colonels. There's other guys that are in the hall, and I appreciate playing with them. But more importantly is that the longer you play, the more you appreciate the friendships and the fun and the times that make everything worthwhile for the amount of time that you put in. And nobody becomes really good unless they work their ass off at it, okay? And when you become really good, it's because you have a whole bunch of people playing with you that are also good. And I thank all the people that I played with. They made me better, without a doubt. They made me have so much fun. I am deeply honored for being inducted, to be honest with you. I want to thank my family for being here with me, all my friends, my teammates. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Rick. Jim Lehman is our next inductee. Well, you got the longest bio of the batch here, Jim, so sit back and relax as we tell a story. Jim Lehman was involved in the Manitoba softball as a player, coach, administrator, and umpire. Jim's involvement at so many levels of fast-pitch softball serves as evidence that his love of the sport is long-lasting. Starting out in Pine Falls as a player, moving on to Portage La Prairie, and then on to Winnipeg, Jim received several team and league awards for his consistent hitting, which resulted in the high batting average he finished his career with. Jim was named an all-star third baseman for the Winnipeg Senior Men's League in 1980 and was a member of the teams that represented Manitoba at the Canadian National Senior Championships on 2 occasions in 1978 and 1979. He often led his team in batting average, and in 1977 also won the Portage La Prairie CMFL batting championship. As a coach, Jim had a strong work ethic and trained his players very well. He communicated clearly with his athletes, and his time loving discussing strategy with his teams. Always a teacher, Jim was realistic and enthusiastic, respecting secondary athletes and their abilities that his players might possess, often utilizing these skills to the advantage of the team and of the individual. Jim turned his passion from playing to coaching to becoming an umpire. His talents were recognized, and in 1999, he was selected as the umpire for the Pan Am Games that were held in Winnipeg that year. Through the years and the many local and provincial tournaments, Jim was known for enforcing the rules of the game fairly while attempting to ensure that the players, coaches, and even the fans understood and were made aware of the interpretation of the rules. As an administrator of the game, Jim was keen to participate in softball clinics. In the 2003 and 2005 years, he chaired the Progress for Portage softball tournament, which he expanded to include girls fast-pitch and then slow-pitch as well. Jim Lehman is an inductee into the Manitoba Softball Hall of Fame for 2020 in the all-around category.
Get your mug shot.
Is that my best side?
Congratulations.
Thanks, buddy. I will not nearly talk as long as these other guys. First, I'd like to thank the Lord for giving me the skill and the opportunity to play the game I loved and enjoyed so much. Thank you for those who nominated me and to the selection committee. And congratulations to the other inductees, especially Charlie Kurtz, who was a college classmate of mine. And we both went into the teaching profession. Softball is a game played with 9 players, and to be recognized individually is quite an honor. And it's to be shared with your teammates. I was fortunate to play with a lot of great players and outstanding athletes. Kenny King, Earl King, Ray Hunke, Brian Hunke, Jimmy Kilbourne, Freddie Martins, Jimmy Kilbourne, Paul Miller, Billy Calder, Ferdy Nelson, Dave Wendt, Brian Pallister, Wayne Richardson, Lloyd Penner, Rick Denney, and Cliff Bishop, and many others. Time will not allow me to mention them all. I share this with all of you. Although I was able to be a part of league championship teams in 4 different leagues I played in, and by the way, I did not really play in Pine Falls. It was Seven Sisters Falls, but it has falls in the end.
Just read the script, Jim.
Oh, just wondering a bit. But I was able to play in a championship team in all 4 leagues that I played in, with multiple championship teams in Portage and in Winnipeg. I played in a number of provincials, got to go to 2 national championships. I got to play third base behind a Robbie Ginter no-hitter, behind a Brian Pallister no-hitter. Played against the great Eddie Feiner, which is, for me it was exciting. But my greatest joy came from putting on my uniform, grabbing my glove, and just going out to play ball. That was my joy. I was able to play ball for about 20 years, but I was also grateful to be able to give back to the game. From coaching minor ball, high school ball, and men's ball, it allowed me to be in a game in a different way. Working with girls in minor ball, and a minor executive, working on committees to improve ball diamonds in Portage la Prairie, getting fencing up and dugouts. It was a labor of love and very satisfying. And I say thank you to the city of Portage la Prairie for allowing me in some way to be an encouragement to the players and those who followed. After playing competitively for many years, I ventured into umpiring. No comments, please. I found it completely satisfying and enjoyable. I got to rub shoulders with former players and gained a real appreciation for the other side of the game. Working in 3 Westerns, a number of provincials, different levels, and a Pan Am's exhibition game. Thank you to the late Doug Barber for mentoring me in umpiring. Truly a really great support. And Doug was an outstanding umpire. I will save some off-script stuff with Doug later. Before I close with a few thoughts, I'm just going to go off script. They told me not to. I see Dave Shayax here. It's nice to see Dave. He came with us to a Nationals once, and Dave and Kenny Dilk missed the team bus one time. But don't worry, they got back to the motel about 2 in the morning. And I think the whole motel was a glass front. I think it just wasn't well lit. Apparently they walked through a glass door. But they were ready to go the next day. No blood, they were okay. The manager managed to pay for the damages so we wouldn't get thrown out of the hotel. And Rick Denney, wow, we had a blast playing with Rick. We were playing down in Fargo, and these Americans, nice thing about playing Americans, they don't like to bunt. I played third base, so I never had to play close against the American teams. They just loved to swing from the heels. We had Pat Coffey throwing for us this time in Fargo. First time up, I'm playing third base, and I'm like this. The guy hits a one-hop line drive. I never moved. It went between my glove and my shoulder. I look over at Rick, and he's laughing. Next time the guy comes up, he hits a line drive between Rick and me. I think there's smoke behind that ball. I look at him, and he smiles and laughs. He couldn't get that one either, eh? Third time he comes up, he hits a line drive over center field. I don't think it's landed yet. I turn to Rick, and I says, walk him next time. Hey, when those guys just love swinging from the heels. When we went with Cliff down there, he started throwing change-ups. They got so mad they threw the bat down the ground. They says, throw the ball in here. You see why some of these change-up pitchers did well. Anyway, it was a lot of fun playing with those guys. The other thing with Rick, I think it was with the Nationals. So we're out there in the field, and I think Cliff's just getting ready to wind up and throw. He says, Jim, look at the blonde behind the catch. I says, Rick, we're playing a ball game here. That's Rick. It was a lot of fun. I close with 3 thoughts. The best athletes I played with, I took 2, Dave Wendt and Ferdy Nelson. The best player I played with was Cliff Bishop. My greatest fan and supporter is my wife. She would pack up the cooler and the kids and go to most of the tournaments. We went to Fargo, Grand Forks, and Saskatchewan. She went to the Nationals both with us, put the kids on the bus. One year we had to go on a bus because Air Canada was on strike. 46 hours on a bus. Kenny Dilk and the guy says, maybe we should maybe not go, cancel. But Kenny Dilk and the guy says, no, Jim and those guys may never get a chance to go again. It's a once in a lifetime. So we rode a bus, 46 hours. You wouldn't have wanted to come on the bus and visit us because 46 hours without a shower. Wow. We stopped, I think, in Ottawa for about 10 minutes. We got off the bus. Boy, was that ever fresh. Back on the bus. Whoa. Anyway. But she would go to all our games, and in Portage, she would go to all the games. And our local newspaper would do a write-up after every game. She has clippings of every game that I played. I have them all yet. She's got clippings for about 40 years of when I played, coached in high school, refereed basketball. I refereed basketball after. She's got clippings. I've got them all at home. I was going to bring the box, but my goodness, to show you all that. She kept all the clippings. And that was my greatest supporter. And so I say to you, I love you. Thank you. And to the rest of you, say thank you and God bless you.
Great stories, Jim. I think the museum will want those clippings, right? All right, so the museum will be knocking on your door. Gary Magwood is our next inductee. Gary was born in '52 and spent the majority of his softball career playing for his hometown of Killarney. His team, the Sanders, he was often selected as an individual player for the traveling teams because of his ability to play any position, including pitcher, and because of his hitting prowess. He learned to play softball on the school ground, where it was only a mile away from the family farm. It was not long before he began tagging along with two of his brothers to play organized ball. Gary played his entire fastball career in Killarney, usually playing 2 league games a week and traveling to a tournament on the weekends. If his team was not playing or had been eliminated from competition, he would continue to play as a pickup player for teams that had won the right to continue to play. Gary was part of the team that won many Southwest Manitoba Fastball League championships, Provincial C and Provincial B championships, and was part of teams that competed in the Intermediate A and Senior B Western Canadian Championships. On 4 separate occasions, earning a bronze medal with the Minto Mustangs in '92 at the Western Intermediate A Championships. During his softball career, Gary was recognized as an all-star several times and was awarded the MVP for his team in his league in several years, 1978 and 1982. Gary won the MVP and the batting title for the Southwest Manitoba Fastball League, and in 1988 won the MVP and batting title in the Brandon Commercial Fastball League. Gary Magwood is an inductee in the Manitoba Softball Hall of Fame for 2020 in the athlete category.
Thank you. Be short and sweet. I'm not much for speeches or anything. I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame and nominate all the work they do, preserving the game, the work they do to, preserve all the memories that we all had when we played. Also really want to thank my family. When we're away playing ball all the time, you drag your wife and your kids along to go tournaments and stuff and really help out and appreciate that. And I'd like to thank my wife, Ann, for the work she did putting a lot of this nomination and stuff together. So, thank you.
We are up to the team category. Sports Traders Senior Slo-Pitch softball team. In 1998, the Sports Traders Seniors Slo-Pitch softball team was formed to compete in high-level activity in the seniors Slo-Pitch competitions. They were sponsored by Gord Sandow, Sports Traders owner. Throughout their years as a team, Sports Traders was known across Western Canada as a formidable opponent in the senior slow-pitch tournaments they participated in throughout the province of Manitoba. The team had many successes from 1998 through 2008, winning and then representing Manitoba at many Western Canadian championships, as well as national and 5 international competitions. From 1999 to 2002, the Sports Traders were the Canadian Polar Bear champions in the 55-plus category, and in 2003, they became the first Manitoba slow-pitch team to win the Slo-Pitch Nationals 55-plus senior softball tournament. That same year, in 2003, the Sports Traders won the Polar Bear qualifier tournament and went on to the AA category gold medal at the World Championships. In 2004 and 2005, the team won the gold medal at the Seniors 55-plus Western Canadian Championships. And in 2007, while competing at the Slo-Pitch National Championships in Surrey, BC, they won the gold medal in the 60-plus category. Once again, in 2005, they won the Polar Bear qualifier tournament and went on to finish 4th at the World 55-plus tournament in Phoenix, Arizona. Sports Traders Senior Slow-Pitch Softball Team is inducted into the Manitoba Softball Hall of Fame in the team category.
Gentlemen? God, I can sit.
Look at this here.
Get your hands off me. Come on, Woody. Come on, Woody. Can we ever collide in first base? No. No. There we go. Who's going to take me on? Patty. There you go, Patty. Thank you. You're welcome. You're home this time. Okay. First of all, I'd like to thank the Board of Directors and the Selection Committee. We appreciate all the work they do, and we're very honored to receive this award. And I think what we've heard everybody say, they had a lot of fun. And we're no different. We had a lot of fun. We traveled well, we played well, we played well up to the game. We were very competitive, and we wanted to win. We've been told that we were only allowed a certain few minutes, so we had to really be careful because the committee was worried that, at this time of the evening, it would be way past the bedtime of all the Colonel's players, so. And, it didn't help any matters. I mean, the Colonels got here, I was talking to the staff, they started drinking as soon as they got here. They drank all the stuff they brought. They bought a bunch of stuff from the hotel, and as a result, the hotel, and the first time in the history of the hotel, they're out of prune juice. I was born in Brandon, so it's always fun for me to come back and visit my old neighborhood. Brings back a lot of great memories. Most of our players come from small Manitoba towns. Very few come from the city, all over the province. When I was young, my brother and a bunch of guys started the Brandon Coal Reefs, and I was the first bat boy. So I learned right away what a good team was and how they performed. These guys were awesome. Unfortunately, as time goes by, we lose players. And we've lost 4 players out of our family, and I'll tell you who they are. First one is Bob Heckel, and tonight at our table, we were very fortunate to have his 2 daughters sitting with us. I'd never met them before, and so it was our pleasure to sit with them and talk to them, and they have a great sense of humor just like their father did. Ivan Sinishin, Gord Polaris, and Ron Taylor are also missing. We traveled all over North America. We enjoyed every second of it. We got memories that live forever. It's just unbelievable. We were in Las Vegas playing, and some of the players drove home, some of them flew home. I was flying home later that morning, and Whitey was flying home earlier, and I turned the TV on, and all of a sudden I see these planes flying into the World Trade Center. So Whitey got stuck in Chicago, ended up on the street corner at night waiting for a bus to Fargo, because you couldn't get anywhere. And the police come and picked him and pulled up and said, this is unsafe, you're coming back, and he ended up sleeping in the police department. I spent a week in Las Vegas extra. And you know, in Gander, when all the planes landed, the people took them in and took care of them. Well, in Las Vegas, they raised the room rates. A little different out there, okay? I could talk for hours about what happened on the field. I mean, we all do. All these players here, the room is full of awesome players. I've known them for all my life. I saw the Colonels play when I was a kid, and they were awesome. So I admired them all. So it's really an honor to be here, and an honor to take part in this evening. One of the most important things about our team was our wives. They traveled with us. They took care of us. They listened to us bitch about every little thing that went wrong, why we weren't hitting better, or why we were in the lineup in certain places. And you know, they were, if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here. And I felt that all the way along. They come with us on our last trip. This is our last trip as sports traders, coming to Brandon. We won't be traveling again, I don't think. We prided ourselves on defense. We were a pretty good defensive team. I mean, you see who's on first. I don't know who's on second. Well, on first was Shakespeare. On second was Shakespeare. On short was Shakespeare. We all were Shakespeare. William Shakespeare. Because we made plays. And we made lots of plays, okay? We didn't just make one play. We made a lot of plays. And, you know, I mean, things change over time, you know, things evolve. And somebody mentioned Dave Shayak, and, you know, I have to tell you a story about Dave. You know, he was always the athlete of the family, and Jean was sort of, you know, one of the wives. Well, they go to Arizona, and a lot of our players are in Arizona playing in the winter time. It's like heaven on earth for Slo-Pitch players. Anyways, Dave is there, and he's playing ball, and then Jean's playing pickleball, she's playing golf, she's playing tennis, and kaboom, somebody phones up and says, I want to speak to the athlete of the family, and Dave says, hey, Jean, it's for you. And then, you know, Jean, she's out there this winter playing pickleball at a high grade, and she bangs up and breaks her arm. Dave broke his arm falling off his bicycle. You know, it's tough, eh, Dave? I remember that. Anyways, I'm going to tell you about Ron Westcott. He's going to speak a bit more. I'm going to tell you one thing about Ron, the pride of Douglas, Manitoba, little town out here. His mother lives in Brandon, Mime, okay? She is the oldest person in Manitoba. She's 111 years old. Yeah. And she really wanted to be here tonight, you know, and see her son, but she was out at the casino all afternoon, and they're out partying tonight, so she couldn't make it. You know, she's disappointed. Anyway, I'll let you listen to Ron, and you know, what I said was interesting, but this guy can talk, okay? So, and we're going to take up, Gary didn't talk very long, we're going to take over his time.
Thanks, Patty. Yeah, Mom's okay. You know, she should have been here tonight, but yeah, she was at the casino during the day, but she plays poker at night. So she'd rather play poker than watch me get this award. But now that I am an umpire, I can't help say this. You know, when you don't hear or see umpires, you know they're doing a good job? Well, there was a whole table full of them over there tonight, you know, to support Charlie, Jim, so on. As soon as I came up on the stage, they all left. Except, you know, yeah, except for one. And Bruce Lupke does a lot for softball, and the only reason he's here is he lives in Brandon. But I think we should give the umpires a hand, because you know what? Without umpires, we wouldn't have Fastball. So, sports traders, this is amazing. You know, on behalf of my teammates, we would like to acknowledge Patty's dedication and contribution to senior Slo-Pitch in Manitoba. He was our leader on and off the field, and he convinced us that we could play against the very best in the senior category. So from 2000 to 2008, we played in championships from coast to coast in Canada, to Phoenix, to Las Vegas. The only thing that Patty didn't do was pay our way. So it actually cost me a small fortune to follow his dream. You know, we would have spent the money anyway because it gave us a chance to play the game we loved at the very highest level. And it was like a holiday because, as Patty said, most of the times we took our wives, partners, families, and so after the games finished for the day, we would party. And that's when Lise would take over. Lise Lacombe was Patty's partner, and she was the life of every party we were at. She made sure, whether we were sitting around the pool or cramped into a hotel room, dissecting the game, she made sure we had a good time. And from there, it went into reminiscing about those remember when stories. I don't know how many times I told the boys of when I took McWillie deep. I know some of the colonels remember that, right?
Whitey, I was there.
Yeah, Rick was there, see? And the story got better every year.
You did it twice, Whitey.
Yeah. But, you know, when the women got tired of us talking ball, that's when Lise would bring out the spoons. She can make her spoons sound like a rock band. And, you know, those memories will last a lifetime. And as Patty said, we've lost some members of our team, but we've also lost members of our sports traders family. And I think we've had now 4 of family members lost. Pat Mackenzie, Chris Sinishin, Dorothy Durkach, I'm missing one. So anyway, a big part of this honor tonight goes to those special ladies. Patty, do I have any more time?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't care if you say it, I'm going to say this. You know, there's people out there, some here tonight, I believe, that don't believe Slo-Pitch teams should be inducted into the Softball Hall of Fame. And I know some of them think, okay, yeah, it's glorified T-ball, it's beer league ball, but no, it was much more than that. And I think if those people had watched this play and saw the talented teams that we had to beat to win championships at the Western, the Canadian, the world level, I think many of them would change their mind. And what Patty did to form our team, he went out and recruited players that still wanted to play the game, even though they might have lost a step or two. He recruited from the elite Winnipeg Colonels team, guys like Dave Shayak, Ron Taves, Lloyd Penner, Ronnie Taylor, Buzz Lamont, as an example. He picked players from our Manitoba Masters gold medal team, like Lawrence Sinishin, Dave Bosch, hardball players like Marvin Kayer and Elgin Graminski. And as well, he went to the existing senior Slo-Pitch players who were stars in their team, like Bob Heckel. We had like several players from that level that really were stars that formed our team. And I think Patty picked them not just because they were skilled players on the field, but they also played the game the right way. They were real sportsmen. They respected their players, the opposition, the game itself, all the values that the Hall of Fame is built on. So I think there's no other reason to kind of talk about our team than the Worlds in 2003. We were in a 9-team division. They had 4 of the regional championship teams from the States. They were Denver, El Paso, Texas, Atlanta, Minneapolis. And we lost a tough game early to Atlanta. And in our huddle after, Patty convinced us that you know, we deserve to be there, and we just have to take one at bat, one run, make one play, and we'd be fine. So we scratched our way to the final, And now we're playing Atlanta again, who just killed us, and now we have to beat them twice. And this is such a good story. Do you want to hear the end of it? Anyway, so in the first game, Atlanta had beaten us badly, and so before the game in the warm-up, they're laughing, joking. I think they thought the only sport the Canadians can play is hockey. Anyway, we played great defense. We kept the game close and managed to squeak out a one-run victory. So now, about half an hour later, we're playing them in the championship game. This time, they're totally serious. So serious, they knelt in a big circle in front of their dugout and prayed. Now, little did they know I was also praying. Because I was a Sports Traders pitcher, and these good American teams would hit these rockets up the middle because they knew if they could get it by the pitcher, it was a sure base hit. So I was praying that they wouldn't kill me. But once again, we kept the game close. We're tied in the last inning, and we had lost the bat. I think we won the flip. So they load the bases with none out. I could not believe they were hitting my knuckleball. But anyway, they did. So they hit this screamer to third where Lawrence Initian picks it up, throws home to Gordy Polarized. He turns, guns to Shayak at first. He makes a big stretch, gets a double play. The next guy hits a screamer into the gap in left center field, and Marvin Kayer, our defensive specialist, makes an outstanding catch. The rally's over. So now we just need one run to win the championship. And so Dave Shayak, who was a real singles hitter for us, got on base. And we put in Ronnie Taylor to run. Some of you remember Ronnie from the Western Major Leagues. He was a speedster, but quite short, and he was always a little stocky, but when he came to play with us, he was basically fat. But he could still run. And so the next batter hit a routine fly ball to the field, and the fielder for sure didn't think he'd be going, but he tagged up and on a close play at second made it. But that just shows how he was a smart ball player. We got one or two more on, and now Ronnie Taves is up. 2 out, first base is open for a chance to win the championship. Now Ron, I'm not sure if you guys know this, Ronnie Taves is an 11-time Hall of Fame player. 11 times. 7 softball, 4 baseball. Stand up, Ronnie. Like, I think it's amazing. Anyway, they didn't want to pitch to Ronnie. I wasn't up next, okay, but anyway. Marvin Kayer, our defensive specialist, not a big hitter in our team, but a great player. With the bases loaded, 2 out, he gets the winning hit, and we celebrated like we were little league players. But I think we celebrated probably even more so because at our age, you never know when it's going to be your last game. So, don't you deserve, we deserve to be in this Hall of Fame? Do you agree? But seriously, each and every one of us are honored with this nomination, and so thank you very much.
Yeah, here it is.
Bring the portable mic for you.
Yeah. Folks, we're going to call up the Sports Traders players that are in attendance, and we'll recognize those that aren't in attendance. If you want to just come up where Murray's getting you set up. Dave Bach, Marilyn Kerr, Karen Heckel, Brian McKenzie, Lloyd Penner, Lauren Seneshin, Dave Shayak, Patrick Slavin, Ron Taves, and Ron Westcott. You guys could all come up. The Sports Traders players that aren't in attendance tonight: Lauren Anderson, Elgin Gromensky, Ken Hawkins, Buzz Lamond, Diane Polaris for Gord, Kim Prendergast, Doug Rintoul, Gordy Taylor for Ron Taylor, Bill Vallis, Erwin Workington, and Brian Durkach.
I saw you, and by the time I was going up to say too late, you saw me on a congrats, right?
Good job, guys.
He should have caught that ball behind him. He was well.
You know, we actually broke two doors that night. You and Induction, I remember. Then he showed me what he did. And I broke.
Oh, that was a fun trip.
Gary, you know, I played with you.
Yeah, you're free to go, John. Thank you. Yeah, say.
Ladies and gentlemen, if I get your attention, please. I'd like to call on Jack Colson from Manitoba Softball Hall of Fame. I'd like to make an announcement. So if you would, please, Jack Colson.
This is a little impromptu thing here. I would like to make an announcement. We've got some people to acknowledge here, and the first one I'd like to acknowledge is Wayne Miller. I stole your grace sheet. That's my note paper now. I had to write on the back of it. I couldn't find anything else. But I would like to acknowledge a group of people that came to, that are here tonight out of the West. Many people that have followed fastball for over the last 3 or 4 decades will have known of the rural hotbed of fastball that existed in the Russell Inglis area and western Manitoba, eastern Saskatchewan. And as a result of that, a few of the guys in the Russell Inglis area have spent 3 or 4 years putting together a fastball museum out in, it actually exists right now. They had the grand opening last August after a COVID delay. They have this museum set up in the Russell Family Campground at just north of Russell in the campground. We had a grand opening last year. They had some exhibition fastball games, and games were played, stories were told. And somewhere around midnight on Saturday night, there was 15 of us sitting around some campers and fires, and someone said, we should start playing fastball again. By noon the next day, there were still 5 of us that thought that was a good idea. And as a result of some meetings and phone calls and Zoom get-togethers, this June and July, there's a 3-team mini tournament that we're going to play. It's for 50 and over guys. We're going to have a little 3-team tournament in Fleming, Saskatchewan, a 3-team tournament in Assissippi, and another one in Onondaga. And it was because of the guys that put the museum together and did all the work and gathered all of the information. I have no idea how much time was spent and phone calls that were made, but in their research, they dealt with eastern Saskatchewan, western Manitoba, and I think they came as far east into Manitoba as about up to Brandon, just that western part of the province. And I think, did you guys tell me it was 350 teams had been registered at one time through the records that you found? Well over 300 teams in Saskatchewan, Manitoba that had played, and they're collecting stuff. It's an awesome little thing. So my point is I would like to acknowledge the people at the table there with the Nuremberg and Zimmers. If anybody knows the Russell Inglis area, there's an infestation of Nurembergs and Zimmers out there. They're a group of them right there. They're the ones that put came up with the idea for the museum, and as a result of what they did, there's a bunch of old farts like me, and then some of these other guys are going to try to play fastball again this summer. Thank you, guys.
We're on the home stretch, everybody. What we'll do is read the bio for the Winnipeg Colonels, and we're going to ask all the players to come up that are in attendance. We'll also read out the members that were not able to be with us for tonight. The Winnipeg Colonels Fastball team is the next team to be inducted. In a time when fast-pitch softball, or fastball, was the top of baseball and softball world in Manitoba and Canada and in Winnipeg, the Colonels organization was the pinnacle for ball players to strive for. They did preseason training in Arizona. In the spring, they had a nucleus of the best ball players in the province, competed in cities across Western Canada, in the Western Major Fastball League. That was heralded as the top fastball league in Canada and perhaps the world. It had a world-class group of business people running the organization. Games were broadcast on local radio. The newspapers covered the games extensively, and they would interview players and coaches post-game. The Winnipeg Colonels organization was not content simply having the best players from Manitoba. The executive of the team was making an effort to be nationwide, going around the globe to bring the best players from across Canada, the United States, and even New Zealand to the province. Before the present version of the Winnipeg Goldeyes came to be, the Winnipeg Colonels at their home games in the 1970s and into the early 80s in Winnipeg at Charlie Krupp Stadium. Charlie Krupp Stadium is now where McPhillips Street Station Casino now stands. To compensate, the WMFL meant long-distance bus rides away from home. The league boasted teams in cities throughout Western Canada. Traveling to games was, well, at the least a little bit difficult, going city to city. Brandon, Weyburn, Regina, Saskatoon, Calgary, Wetaskiwin, Red Deer, Camrose, and Edmonton. Through the years, the Winnipeg Colonels represented their city well by winning the 2 Eastern Division pennants in 1976 and 1978. In 1980, when the Winnipeg Colonels were deemed eligible to represent the province, they won the provincial championship without losing a game and went to the national championships where they had a perfect 4-0 record in the round-robin portion of the tournament. The team missed out on medal competition after a close loss that ended their tournament run. The Winnipeg Colonels Fastball Club is an inductee into the Manitoba Softball Hall of Fame 2020 in the team category. We now call on Reed Burris to say a few words, and then we'll call up the players.
And I promise to keep it short. I'd like to say good evening to all the softball fans out there. On behalf of the Winnipeg Colonels, I'd like to thank the organizing committee for hosting this event, and thanks to the Manitoba Softball Hall of Fame for accepting our nomination, and to Larry Dewis who did all the work to put that nomination together. Our congratulations to the teams and individuals who are being inducted this evening. And thanks to all the colonels who made it the trek out here tonight. And I just want to acknowledge those who traveled beyond our Manitoba borders. Ron Gustafson, Tucson, Arizona. Dave LaFrance from Calgary, Alberta. The Sekundiak clan from Yorkton, Saskatchewan, representing Dan. And Terry Ridley from Swift Current, Saskatchewan. I'd like to just take a few seconds to remember those who have passed. Coach Field Manager Shorty Lowen, Coach Grant Riddell, Executive Members Bob York, Joe Schmelnitsky, Trainer Doc Steen, and the following players: Dan Sekundiak, Bob Turner, Ron Taylor, Phil Vanette, Ralph Wilson, and Ken Magura on April 29th. Just recently. Just going to speak a little bit about the league. The Western Major Fastball League began in 1973 with 5 teams in 3 provinces, the first professional league in Canada. After 3 years, changes were necessary as attendance had dwindled, and like in any league, travel costs are a killer. Expansion was the answer, as the league was down to 4 teams. After receiving several applications, the expansion was cropped down to 8 teams in 2 divisions with an interlocking 40-game schedule. Now I know why I couldn't see anything. Betty, you're supposed to keep me sharp out here. Anyway, look at this. All right, 40-game schedule, and the new franchises were close enough together to permit midweek games. The results being better attendance, which is usually the case in smaller cities, and much reduced travel costs. The divisions were as follows: Wetaskiwin, Camrose, Edmonton, and Calgary in the west, Winnipeg, Regina, Saskatoon, Weyburn in the east. Further expansion in 77, Brandon came into the league and was in it until 78. Red Deer replaced Calgary and was there until 1980. The league operated till 1980 after an 8-year run as a professional league when the CASA reinstated the players their amateur status, and we were allowed to participate in sanctioned tournaments and championships. It was a transition year for the Western Major Fastball League and would as well be for the Winnipeg Colonels, or as Larry Dewis likes to call them, Colonels 2. There will be a new coach, with only 6 veterans returning, the result being 9 roster spots open. Any player with the ability and the desire to play in Manitoba's best team in the best league against the top players in Canada, this was it. When training camp ended, there were 8 rookies and 1 returning veteran pitcher, Ralph Enns, who will be with the team for 5 years. The 8 rookies consisted of 5 position players and 3 pitchers: Jim Nicholson for 2 years, Ralph Wilson, and the Pride of Red Lake, Phil Vanette, for 3 years. We opened our season in Weyburn. No one really knew what to expect. We all had a bit of the jitters, but nothing like our fearless leader, Shorty Lowen. The plate umpire signaled for our lineup card. No Shorty. So Grant Skinner went looking, found him out behind our dugout. His pre-game meal didn't seem to have agreed with him. I was in the on-deck circle, and when he went past me, he sounded like a cat with a giant hairball as he dry-heaved his way all the way to home plate. Rumor has it, he dropped off more than the lineup card at the plate. That's not a rumor. We had a successful road trip. We came home 4-2, and Shorty in good health. Our winning ways continued that year. We went 29 wins, 11 losses. The 11 losses established a Western Major Fastball League record, which was never broken. Camrose defeated us 5-2 in the league final. From 1977 to 1980, it saw the Colonel management recruit 16 position players, a new assistant coach in Ron Witkowski, along with pitchers Bob Edgar, back for a second go, George Archibald, the Kiwi Jimmy Fowler, Kenny Peters, back for a second go, Brian Pallister, and Larry Elson from Ontario. With Jim's arrival and dominating pitching performance in 78, we thought it was our year, only to have the Red Deer Corvettes and the legendary Pete Landers end our run and go on to win the league championship. In '77, we played in the IC World Tourney in Phoenix, Arizona, finishing a respectable 2-2. And in '79 was our first World Series of Fastball appearance. Well, we were eliminated in the semifinals, and I gotta be truthful here because the guys are sitting out there know this. Actually, we were disqualified because of a 30-minute bench clearing brawl. Our WMFL one-loss record over the 5 years was 135 wins, 73 losses, and a winning percentage of .650. Bettered or equaled only by the Camrose Merchants. At the beginning of the 1980 season, Harry and Artie brought on 2 new executive members, Rennie Peru and Paul Shimnowski. In July, we had our amateur status reinstated. We're now able to play in CASA sanctioned tourneys. We hosted the Canadian national team, which was touring at the time, and we played them to a 1-1 tie at Charlie Krupp. We won the Eugene Home Classic in Fargo, North Dakota, defeating Cedar Rapids, Iowa, the number 2 ranked team in the U.S. at the time, in the opening game. And as Gus and I talked about it tonight when we went to the park, we were told, you guys may not, you don't even show up because you got no chance. Well, so we beat them in the first game, and then went on undefeated in the next 5 games against some of the top teams in the Midwest U.S. And as stated in the bio, we went undefeated in the provincials that year, onto the nationals in Saskatoon, won the round robin, finished 4th overall, eliminated in the medal round on a controversial leadoff call. It cost us a 1-0 victory and a medal. Sorry about you umpires out there, but the umpire from the Northwest Territories couldn't believe what we already knew. Ron Gustafson was that fast. In September, we lost the 1980. We lost the league final to Camrose, playing the last game for the Winnipeg Colonels in the last game of the Western Major Fastball League. During those years, 4 players who honed their skills with Colonels 2 and went on to represent Canada internationally. Grant Skinner, who won a gold medal with Canada in '83 in the Pan Am Games. Ron Gustafson, Larry Skinner, and the pride of Pine Falls, Dave LaFrance. At this time, I would like to thank the sponsors and the volunteers and the executive members, because without them, things just don't work. But I want to call up Harry Buchert and Art Penner, because without these 2 guys, there would be no Winnipeg Colonels, no Western Major Fastball League, and 76 to 80 wouldn't happen. Harry, Artie, come on up, take a bow. Okay, all you ex-Winnipeg Colonels out there, put your hands together for these 2 guys right now. Harry, get over. You did one. Oh no, I want a free drink after that. Oh. Okay, thank you.
One more time, nice round of applause for the Winnipeg Colonels. Oh, I don't know if they were going to leave me this gorgeous stained glass plaque. Oh, come on back, Reed.
That's what all the excitement does to you. I got to give it to Harry.
He says that belongs to Harry anyway, so. What I'd like to do is have the colonels that are here in attendance tonight just come and line up and get your individual trophies. Reed, you can come back as well. Harry, Mike Chuby, Larry Dewis, Lyle Gallant, Ron Gustafson, Pete Clausen, Dave LaFrance, Ralph Nesper, Art Penner, Terry Riedel, the Secundiac clan, I guess you could come up for Dan, Ron Taves, Jason Vinnett for Phil Vinnett, Ron Westcott, and Lynn Wheeler. Nice round of applause for all of these gentlemen. And while they are accepting, I will read the names of the colonels that are not here tonight. George Archibald, Greg Bouchard, Jess Buchert, Mike Burchuk, Bob Edgar, Larry Elson, Ralph Enns, Jim Fowler, Doug Fraser, Brian Gunn, Ken Harder, Audrey Johnson for Gary, Dan Lozon, Curtis Lowen for Freeman, Ken Magura, Lori Munson, Jim Nicholson, Ryan Pallister, Rene Peru, Ken Peters, Mike Pearson, Paul Chomowski, Joe Chomowski, Dave Skinner, Grant Skinner, Larry Skinner, Bob Stetchison, Gordy Taylor for Ron Taylor, Tracy Turner for Bob Turner, Frank Vila, Dave Went, Pete Weston, Sandy Williams for Grant Riddell, Ralph Wilson, Flo Windsor for Bill Windsor, Ron Witowski, and Bob York. Ladies and gentlemen, the Winnipeg Colonels.
Done? So once they're done.
Linda.
And then just put down your certificate of office. Down to the just go down the end there and pick up the box.
Oh, wait a minute.
Get out of the
Let's just get some pictures.
You take one by yourself. And we'll take one with the low profit connection. Nice too. Whoa.
Hello.
Partners.
Hey, you know what?
I have two stories.
76.
Game I most remember was when we were down 5-0 to Saskatoon.
I should have thought too. Frustrating.
Well, folks, that does it for the formal ceremonies for this evening. I thank you for attending. We thank the special guests in attendance. Congratulations to all the inductees. And we thank you for being with us this evening for this celebration. Please remember to drive home safe. Stand by. We will get some prizing done. The silent auction will be coming up. I'll let Murray and the executive handle that. It's been an absolute joy. I'm Ray Walker. Thanks for coming tonight. We'll talk to you again.